Okay, so we have a fully charged Legend battery. And we also have a fully charged external battery. That surprisingly took, I looked at it last night after 8 hours of being plugged into one of my phone chargers, and it still wasn't fully charged. So I'm not sure why it took all night, but it did. It's fully charged now. We're going to run the Legend this week without plugging that external battery in. We'll bring it with us, and we'll just kind of see how many hours we get on the Legend. And then when its battery dies, we'll plug the external in, run it again without charging, and we'll see how many hours we get on the external. The manual says between 8 and 20 hours, which is a pretty big gap. I don't know what you would be running on the machine that would use up an extra 12 hours of battery versus not. 8 to 20 hours is a pretty big range. So we had about 12 hours on it the first time, and I'm wondering if possibly I had this battery plugged into my solar system charging. Maybe I grabbed it when we put it on the machine. Maybe it wasn't even fully charged. Maybe it wasn't ready to go. I'm not 100%. Normally, I look and I see a green light. I'm pretty sure it was, but 12 hours to have both those batteries plugged in doesn't seem right. So we are going to head out of town south, and we're going to go to a little town that my wife grew up outside of, Powassan. I want to show you guys a few of the sites. This was an 1870s township, and it flourished and took off, and in the early 1920s, 30s, they were building schools, arenas, churches. Fantastic old place, lots of history, and even a few places we can try digging right in town. So we're going to take the Legend out there, and we're just going to see, maybe we can find some Powassan history.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
So a fantastic old little town. You can still see the little original brick houses all through as you're driving through here. Lots of history, 1870s right on through. They've seen some hard times back in the 1970s and 80s. The highway was moved over. It used to come right through this town, which kind of kept it alive. Once the highway got 4-laned and moved over, it just became one of these lost little towns on the side. Basically a farmer's community. And they do things like have a fall fair here every year, a maple syrup convention. I don't know what it's called. They do little things like that to draw people back in. We've got the fairgrounds that we've detected many times out here. There's a trail system that I'd like to do. It was a hiking system. There's a local, they call it a mountain, but it's just, 500, 600 yards in elevation. And there's a hiking trail system that goes right back to the 1920s up there. We could do some detecting up there. Today I'm just going to try right here in town. I'm not going to say exactly where, but at a place, that has history right back to the 1920s and 30s. Let's see what we can find. You can see some of the older trees in here. These are probably 100-year-old trees. That's probably original. As soon as they started settling this town, that's a 150-year-old tree system right there. It's huge. So 4 quick holes, 4 pennies. There are all kinds of coin signals here. The oldest of these being 1968. So we're right on the edge of silver. I think it's going to go right back to the 30s, guys, for sure. It's probably going to go right back to the turn of the century. What has been disturbed when they built this up? They put in a park and some other amenities and buildings and whatnot. What's left of the original, I don't know, but we're going to find out. And the only way to find out just by digging some holes. So you guys can see behind me here, this is a creek. It's Genesee Creek. And the original term Powassan was a native term which meant bend in the river. So there's some debate as to whether now where Powassan is located, are they referring to this creek or are they referring to the South River, which is where the first settlers actually settled. On the bend in South River, they put in a grist mill, blacksmith shop, a couple little farms, and that is where Powassan originated, which is a couple miles west of here. And then as the town grew into the turn of the century, it kind of moved to where it is now. And I don't believe that it was named for the bend in this creek. I believe it was the South River where the original settlers were. That makes more sense to me, right? Follow the history. Even though I'm in a trashy park area today, I'll show you guys the settings on the Legend. I'm actually using Field and M2. So there we are on Field, M2, all metal mode, and I'm really loving the way it's discriminating fine. The recovery speed is very quick on this machine. Even though there's lots of trash here, it's working fine. I'm liking Field. And the visual IDs seem to be a little more stable in Field. I don't know. I definitely know that the ferrous versus non-ferrous indicators work a lot better in Field than they were in Park. The first 12 hours I was in Park, and I really didn't like those indicators. They didn't work half the time, but they seem to work about 70% more of the time in Field mode. Hot Wheels, 1977. There isn't a wheel left on it. It was a dragster of some kind. Just the frame left. That's still pretty cool. Well. Solid 45, but not a penny. Is that gold plated? What is it? Let's give it a little cleanup. Well, I was thinking a cufflink, guys, but that is not a cufflink. And I don't believe it's gold plated because it's just some kind of hardware for something. I don't know what it is. Okay, so I've noticed this a couple times. This dime just rang up as a 50, and it did have a dull silver look to it. When I pulled it out, I thought, oh great, we're on to something. No, we're not. It's a 1991, and that's about the third dime that I've found with the Legend Canadian clad dime that rings up like silver. Hey, I was expecting a penny, solid 40. It's definitely not a penny. I don't know what this is. Let's take a look. Look at that. What is that? I cannot even tell. Oh man, Butterfingers today. I cannot even tell. I don't know. Some kind of token maybe? Let's brush that off. No, there is a denomination on there. One something. I don't know what it is. So maybe it's a foreign coin. And there's writing at the top here as well. Okay, I was going to brush it, but then it's actually taking the finish right off of it. I can read here on the top, Republic de, and I can't make out the rest. Guatemala, maybe? Hey, that'd be my first Guatemalan coin. I have no idea, guys, and I don't see a date on it anywhere. Okay, there is a 2000 right here on the bottom, right here where my thumb is. It says 2000, so not an old coin. Cool, what's that doing here? No idea. You never know what you're gonna find in this hobby. That's pretty cool. So guys, after an hour of digging, I have to surmise that this place has just been built over too many times. As John would say, this place has been bulldozed, and he'd be correct. So I'll show you guys what I got after 1 hour. Nothing old. Oldest coin was that 68. So, all right, one Hot Wheels, 29 cents, and one Republic de Guatemala coin. All right, guys, I just took an hour's break. I had to go out to the cottage and help my father-in-law find the property stakes with the metal detector. So then I was heading back to town and I thought, well, I'm already 60 kilometers out here. I might as well do the fairgrounds again. We did it the other day and I did get one really nice old silver. So I'm gonna spend another hour and a half here. We'll just, you know, we still got the legend with us. We'll continue on with our legend testing, see if we can find another old silver out here. This time I'm going to avoid the nail bed and let's just hit the regular field. We'll give the legend a fighting chance. Well, 20 minutes in and I've pulled 6 pull tabs and we've got our first coin. It's just a penny, but maybe it's an old one. I mean, it looks like it could be old. It's got that nice green patina. Let's find out. I recognize that bird. That's a 67, so it's not that old. Okay, there's another penny, and I couldn't figure out why it was ringing up 35, but it's a zinc penny. So I'm finding the newer pennies are ringing up a little bit lower because they're not copper. Really tempted to go down here into this lower field because I found a 1902 Canada quarter there. I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago when we first started detecting. But that is where they hold the car rally, the Smash Up Derby. And it's all nicely graded right now, ready to go for this year. But I know it's full of thousands of pieces of aluminum and broken car parts. How I ever found that quarter in there, I don't know. But I'm sure there's more. You're just going to spend a lifetime picking all the car parts out of there first. So we're going to avoid that section. Hey, look at this. An Under Armour hat. Looks in pretty good shape. And I think I know who it belongs to, because right here is the kid's water bottle. Faith Reed. Faith, if you're watching, I've got your water bottle and your hat. Alright guys, here's an hour done. I did a complete lap of the outside of the property, just zigzagged all along, and I'll show you guys what I got. But this behind me pretty much sums up how I feel about this field at this point in time. We can put lipstick on Bertha here, but it doesn't make her any prettier. This field just has too many hours on it, and the silver coins are few and far between. All right, there's the haul from this afternoon. Not very good. So in terms of treasure, not a great day, but in terms of putting 4.5 hours on the machine and getting a better feel for it, fantastic, right? You got to put as many hours as you can onto the machine, and I am loving the Legend. I've got to say that the Equinox was hands down the best machine I used in 6 years. This is an improvement on the Equinox. It just has a little better visual display numbers, a little more solid, and again, you're not digging bottle caps, pull tabs, or aluminum unless you choose to. And I do choose to, because as I showed you guys in the last video, gold rings ring up the same as the pull tabs, right? In that 28 to 34 range. Nickels, I'm not sure what nickels ring up. Somewhere in that range as well, I guess, if you had a true nickel and not one made with a steel core like we have nowadays. We did dig one nickel with this machine so far, and I believe it rang up 21. Because we were in 40 kilohertz doing some clad hunting. But, you know, I feel that every hour on this machine is teaching me something, so I'm getting something out of it. No treasures today, but thanks for joining me, guys. Stay tuned, and hopefully next time we'll do a little better. Wherever we go, we'll try to do a little better. Thanks for watching.